And we are back to another segment of Boldly Now. And in this session, we have the amazing, wonderful, deeply transparent, vulnerable, epic human of Adam Roa with us. Adam, thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you. Whenever you get introduced with like 5 or 6 adjectives, that's a cool thing.
Right, yeah, definitely. So I gotta ask you, what's up for you right now, personally, human to human? How are you doing during this time, and what are some vulnerable moments or insights that you'd like to share?
Wow. This time, I mean, the kind of quarantine COVID-19 times have grounded me in one place for the first time in a while. You know, I'm fully nomadic, and so this is the most a home that I felt in a while, and that turned into doing more than I have been in the last year. I've been launching several businesses. I've launched the Create Community, thecreatecommunity.com, for anyone who's interested. We put on live streamed online events every single day for free. So that wasn't even in my idea. And then because of the question of, okay, well, everyone's quarantined and staying at home, what do people need right now? They need community. They need online events to help with their mental and emotional wellness. And so that birthed, and I'm launching a nonprofit called Surrendered Artists to help support artists and educate people on the power of art as a technology. And throughout that entire process, navigating my own personal growth that happens whenever we slow down, right? Whenever we're go, travel here, speak there. And then when there's a moment to just stop, kind of like Vipassanas are silent meditations. And when you do one, the whole premise of it is if you stop adding new crap on top of your old crap, the old crap will rise to the surface. And so that has been a bit of my experience, is just new, like old stuff coming to the surface to be looked at.
So what's one of those old things that's popped up that you were really surprised that came through, or maybe not so surprised about it, but you kind of went in and did some good work there?
I think one of the biggest things that has come up for me during this time is not having the ability to lean into other people when I'm going through something really difficult. And obviously I do have friends that I can reach out to and that sort of thing. But more specifically, I've been in monogamous relationships I had one 10-year relationship. And then very quickly afterwards, I was in another 1-year relationship. And so I've actually only been solo and sovereign for a few months, and then this whole thing hit. And so I was able to sit there and go, wow, I would normally want to call up a female and just like hang out. It's not even necessarily sexual, but just like to have the divine feminine to give me a hug on a day when I feel like a little kid a little bit, and just wanting to be told you're doing a good job, you're working so hard, you're making impact. And so to be able to become my own cheerleader, and to also when I've had those tough days, when I've had those moments of sadness or loneliness, to lean into myself or lean into my friends that I can just call up at that point, instead of what has been a habit just because of how long I've been in relationship, to want that kind of nurturing presence around me. That's been a big one.
Yeah, well, I can deeply relate to that, as one serial monogamous to another, and to find myself in quarantine solo, I was beside myself.
Yeah. Has it gone well for you though?
It's gone well. Yeah, definitely. There was I'm actually in your Create community, and I saw the little clip on how to date yourself, and I definitely clicked on that one, and learned a few things there. So that was really great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, now that you've learned how to be your own cheerleader and learned how to lean into yourself, what are some new maybe unexpected revelations that you've gained from having that experience that you feel that are adding to the butterfly that will be emerging out of this chrysalis here?
Beautiful languaging. I would say that for me, one of the biggest takeaways has been to really value what I do by myself. So I think one of the primary reasons that people really jump from one relationship to the next, or like a buddy of mine, he became single after a 3-year relationship, and within a month had semi relationships. He was dating like 8 different women, and I went, how do you even, I don't understand how you can even do that. But one of the reasons why I think that that can be a common occurrence is because people don't value their time on their own nearly enough. And so I've gotten to look at various stages of this quarantine. What do I do? How do I fill those hours? If I have an hour or 2 hours of a block where I don't have a meeting or a call scheduled, what do I do with that time? And I've in the past have been this person where I'm just going to kind of screw around on YouTube, or maybe watch a show on Netflix, get in there on Game of Thrones or whatever it might be. If that's how I'm choosing to fill that time, then the presence of someone else, just about anyone that I enjoy being around, would be more enjoyable than something that I'm using as just filler. But if I view that time that I have, those 2 hours, as an opportunity to expand and grow and evolve into an even greater version of myself, from the space of, I can play music, I can write poetry, I can stretch, I can work out and exercise, I can learn to cook, I can cook, a real meal that I've been learning how to cook these things, they'll take an hour to do. And so if I'm filling my time with stuff that I feel is elevating who I am as a person, well, now I value that time so highly that anyone that I would lean into externally to kind of be a part of that time would need to be more awesome than the time I spend on my own. And I think that I would encourage everyone to do that, because so many people are in relationships with people who are not reflecting the type of value that you deserve to be loved with, and that you deserve to call into your life. And a big part of that, a huge part of that, maybe the key part of that, is starting by recognizing how important your solo time actually is and starting to value that.
Yeah, and there's filler time and there's filler relationships too, right? Like let's come out of the chrysalis with a new way of looking at all of it.
I don't have those filler relationships in my
But it
past.
can
To be
happen.
fair, I definitely know. I don't really have them. I'm learning. I'm like, it's so funny because I feel sometimes like 40-year-old virgin, you know?
Yeah.
I'm 35, but I've been in nonstop relationships since late 23. And so the filler relationships, and I'm a quick learner. So I've been paying attention and just observing, even, for example, dating apps, right? To observe when my mind thinks, oh, jump on a dating app, and just see that, to know that that moment that I'm doing that is a moment where I'm going, I feel like I want connection. That's what that is. And because we're in quarantine time right now, I legitimately, this is true, I have not started a conversation or been in conversation with a single person on dating apps in the 2 months that I've been in this quarantine. And yet, so the dating apps are not the way that I'm satisfying that. But if I'm turning to that when I desire a connection, what that's actually doing, since there is no end of satisfying that, is preventing myself from taking action that could actually truly satisfy my desire to feel connected. Because a connection is always available. It doesn't have to be a connection to someone else. There's a connection to ourselves, and there's a connection to spirit and to the planet. There's connections happening all the time. So learning how to lean into that has been valuable, primarily in noticing the times when I don't feel like I have it.
So what do you think would happen if everyone, like everyone, came out of this time plugged in and connected in that way, to where the external validation or need to look outside of ourselves to experience that connection? What if we, as a collective, and I know it's a big ask, but what if we as a collective actually became connected to that piece of reality that you just spoke to? What do you think could happen to us individually, collectively, from a societal place? Like, what could happen there?
A massive global orgy. I think that what you would see, because I believe this to be true, which is that self-love is the foundation of everything. Your relationship with yourself is the lens through which you view the rest of life. And so if we were to go out in the world feeling incredibly connected, what that would mean is that we have developed a connection to ourselves. We feel connected to ourselves, and feeling connected to ourselves and helps us understand that we are connected to everything. The deeper you go inward, you realize this is all a fractal. And so therefore you are connected to everyone and everything. There is no space between us, even though we may perceive that. And so the connectivity, I believe, would be indicative of a shift in how everyone feels internally. And that shift internally will ultimately result in different actions being taken. So I think that you would see, like in this scenario, if everyone came out feeling incredibly connected, I think you'd see an end to racism. I think you'd see an end to domestic violence. I think you would see an end to the torture of animals through factory farming. I think you would see an end to a lot of the pollution and overfishing and just decimation of this planet. I think a lot of those things would be resolved. I don't know how those happen. I just know that we can't solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created it. And so therefore, in order to design the solutions, we get to change our level of consciousness first. And so I believe that shift happening during this time would ultimately lead us into some new version, because there'd be new technologies, there'd be new systems, there'd be new just countries formed, probably.
Definitely. Well, and borders and boundaries within themselves would shift drastically.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely. So I love that you said that that you don't know how to get there, because I think that's probably the wisest thing that anyone can say during these times of great shift. But I am curious if you've given some insight into what questions we should be asking right now, because sometimes the trying to figure something out is actually trying to figure out the wrong thing, but asking the right question, we find, actually leads us to a gateway into the right way to thinking about how to create those system changes and things like that at a large level.
Yeah, I think that a very powerful question is always why. That's a starting point for me, which is, we're being told this. Okay, why? This doesn't feel true to me. Why? Instead of just saying this doesn't feel true to me and then, blasting out conspiracy theories or science or whatever the thing is that's being blasted out. We're seeing so much fighting over about what's true right now, but no one actually knows what's true. No one actually knows what's true. All the people that are fighting about this right now are fighting on it because they've taken a position that what they have read or heard or watched is true, and therefore they're basing their opinions on that. But what they have read or seen is not necessarily true. I have actually seen rabbit holes of, like, I watched this video the other day with the headline, woman or young mother arrested for letting her kids use playground. I went, oh, that's messed up. What? And I watched it, and it starts with this woman being handcuffed and walked away by these police officers while her kids are watching. And it's just this thing, and it's, oh my gosh. And then I go into the comments, and someone has posted the full video, which shows that she was arguing with the police officers when they told her, hey, this is closed. This is like the rule. It is closed. Can you please? And she said no, and at a certain point dared them to arrest her. So there's a different side to this. And I thought, wow, she just definitely deserved to be arrested in that situation. And so the point is, then in the comments to that, there's rebuttals to that, and then the things to that, and the things to that. And for every piece of content that people are using and saying, this is true, I'm basing my opinion off of this, there's a rebuttal. There's a rebuttal. There's another side. And so instead of arguing over what is actually true, which means that we're arguing over something that nobody has the answer to, which means we will argue indefinitely. It's not effective. So a more powerful question for everyone to be asking themselves is, can I see the love here? If you are in a conversation, if there's comment threads or whatever, and you're going back and forth and you disagree with someone, or someone insults you. I get insulted on my social media. It's crazy, right? If by wearing this spirit hood that I'm wearing right now, and people assume that it's real fur, it's not, then they will attack me. If I post that I've eaten anything that's not vegan, I will have people very upset with me for eating meat. And the point is, I like to say, can I spot the love here? The person who's angry that this is fur is so angry they didn't even take the time to read the post, where I almost always say that this is not real fur. But at the heart of it, they're angry at the killing and torture of animals. And they're angry about it because they care. They really love animals. They have respect for animals. And that's beautiful. And I do too. So there's a common place that we could start. And if I can start us in that common space of, hey, we both love animals. We both want the right proper treatment. We have a line differentiation where I don't believe that just empirically the killing of animals for food is wrong. You do. Okay. But I can see where the love starts. Can we have the conversation from that place? And if people can take that to gun control, abortions, vaccines, politics, if we can start by asking ourselves before any kind of interaction, can I see where the love is? That would change a lot of how we're communicating with each other on this planet.
Definitely. Yeah, there's remembering a saying of how that in any level of dynamic conversation, there's always just below whatever that dynamism is that silver thread that connects us all actually to the part of life that we are deeply committed to. And I think by asking that question really evokes the invitation for us to continue to find and search for that thread.
Yeah, if you haven't found the love that connects the person that you're arguing with, you haven't looked hard enough, because it's there. It exists. There is a common thread that is based in love that connects you to every human being on this planet. And it doesn't matter how far apart you may be in certain views. If you're willing to look hard enough, if you're willing to trace it back and trace it back and trace it back, you will find it. And you get to be the change that you wish to see. So don't put the onus on the person you're arguing with to go and find that love that connects you. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Don't take responsibility for you're doing it. If you do that and you find that space and that person still will not respect you, that person is still argumentative and really just not meeting you in that, okay, then they don't need to be someone that you have to spend your time trying to argue with or convince. It's not your job to do that. And I get sucked into this sometimes. That happens. I got into a comment back in thread on my Instagram. I still handle my social media. At some point, I'm probably gonna have a PR person who's just saying, no more, we're taking it away from you. But yeah, this back and forth where this person did not see my point, and I kept going back and forth because I decided that I really wanted this person to understand what I was saying. And it was not the best use of my time. It wasn't the best use of my time. And that the reason why I did it was because I was coming from a place of feeling misunderstood. Then I got a bit triggered and I was like, okay, now I'm coming from a place of I want to prove my point. And it was just a spiral because I'd forgotten a very key piece, which is it's not a success or failure thing. If I express something and you disagree with that, that doesn't mean that I'm wrong, I'm bad, I'm anything. And if I explain my position and you don't agree, if we can stay in love, that's fine. We can disagree. I wrote a piece of poetry recently, and I think it said, one of the lines in it was, since when did we need to agree in order for you to see the human in me? And I think that's a very powerful question.
Definitely. Well, and speaking of spoken word, I know you're pretty good at it. And so what I would like to do is provide a space for you to just let your channel open and give the message that you want to give right now.
Oh, wow. A freestyle poem.
There you go. Let's create a new world right here.
So I'm going to speak some words that I have not written before. Speak them out and hope that they don't hit the floor, but instead arrive into your ears in a way that allows you to hear the words quite clear and understand that I'm asking you choose love over fear. I'm asking you to represent a new way. Let people know that they can live in the light of day and not in the shadows, not in the trauma, not in the pain. They can let all of that go and allow the rain to cleanse and be free. The breath that lives inside of each one of you lives inside of me. As I exhale, you inhale. My past breath becomes the thing that lets you prevail over all of the fears, doubts that you've carried for so long, all the times that you thought you couldn't sing because your mom told you that you couldn't sing that song all along. But deep down, it's not about getting it right. It's not about doing it well. It's about letting yourself express and move out of the living hell that happens when you repress yourself. Because you don't have to put your heart on the shelf. You don't have to put your dreams in the chest. You can take it all out and you can live your best life. It can look however you want, but recognize that you do not have to sacrifice who you are in order to realize you were born from the stars. How's that?
Not too bad for a first run.
Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. Well, there we go.
Not too bad for a first run, Adam Roa. Thank you so much.
Great.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Any before we head out, any last closings? I don't want to say last words because that's dramatic.
I want to let everyone know that I am equally as confused right now during this time as anyone else about what is true. I've gone back and forth. I have thought, okay, this is a very serious problem, coronavirus, to, wow, this is being overreacted to, I think there's some dark conspiracies behind what's going on, to actually this is a thing that, and at the end of the day, it's okay for you to be confused. It's okay for you to be scared. It's okay for you to feel like you don't know who to trust. But understand that none of those feelings have any control over your ability to show up with compassion and to exemplify how we can lead with love when we're in times where we feel all of those things. And so um, honor the feelings that you have, honor the space that you need to be in your highest vibe, and find the role models, find the people that are exemplifying what that means, not the people who are telling you just to meditate away the things and you can do whatever you want because you're not a match to the coronavirus. Any people that I've seen that in the spiritual community, that's a bypass that I don't think is helpful either. And the same way with all the people in the conspiracy theory realms who are saying that a similar thing. It's not black or white. It is not that simple. The truth lies somewhere in the mix of all of the things and is always relative anyways. So you get to take ownership of your truth. You get to take ownership of what is real for you, and nothing that you decide around any of that has any control over your ability to show up as love and be a vessel for that message to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, way to hit it out of the park, Adam. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you, everybody, for listening.